Hello everyone, this is Mayor Lionel Jordan bringing another segment of the Mayor's Corner. Today I have Chris Brown, the city's chief engineer, and he's going to talk a little bit about two very important historic structures in this city that we're going to be restoring. That is the Maple and Lafayette bridges. So Chris, maybe you'd like to tell us a little bit about that project. Tell us why, first of all, why these bridges are, why it's so important that we restore these bridges.
Okay. Well, the bridges were constructed in the 1930s, so they're in really good shape for 75-year-old bridges, but obviously they've had some wear and tear over the years, and I think anybody that goes by there can see that wear and tear. Lafayette actually has some damage to the railing that we're going to repair, and some rust and some of those kind of things. So there are some aesthetics things, obviously, that we want to take care of, but there also are some structural items that we need to look at to, basically extend the life of these bridges much further beyond where they are now. So
what are some of the items that's going to need to be repaired? I know you mentioned the rail and the rust. What is some, maybe the folks like to hear just a little bit more detail about what some of those items are.
Yeah, so starting with the Maple Bridge, what we are looking at right now, and all of this is preliminary, so it's subject to change, but what we're looking at right now actually is a complete replacement of the deck on the Maple Street Bridge. So we'll take off the deck and the railing as well. The substructure, the footings and all that sort of thing are in really good shape under there, but the deck is kind of marginal, and so our consultant has said, while we were doing the project, it makes sense to go ahead and do this work. So we're evaluating that and talking about that, and we'll be taking some public comment about that as well. Coming up. I'll talk about that in a minute. But that's really kind of the big thing, and because they are historic bridges, we want to make sure and replicate what the bridges look like. So those railings will look exactly the same once they're reinstalled. They will look exactly the same. One of the things that's a safety item that we're a little concerned about on both of the bridges is the height of the railing. It's about 3 feet high, which doesn't meet current standards. Current standards are 42 up to 54 inches high. So what we're looking at is some sort of retrofit. Leave the railings as they are, but maybe retrofit another rail on top of it. And we're trying to work out exactly what that's going to look like. We don't want to make it look like an add-on.
Right.
Look like so we're trying to work out how that's going to look. On the Lafayette Bridge, of course, the broken railing that we have, we certainly want to repair that, restore all of the railing, repaint the railing, overlay the concrete deck and do some of the repairs. Some of the concrete is deteriorated on the deck, so we want to repair that. The big item on the Lafayette Bridge is there's a retaining wall just east of the bridge that's actually rotated. It's about a foot out of level, so that needs to be repaired. We may have to totally rebuild that retaining wall, which will take the street out of commission for a while, but we want to make sure and fix that properly as well.
What is going to be the total cost of this project, and how are we going to pay for that?
Yeah, it's about $1.5 million is what we're estimating right now. Of course, as the design continues, we'll update that cost estimate as we really determine, hone in on what needs to be done. But we do have $1 million of federal aid money through the highway department, so that'll pay for, that'll be $1 million, and then the remainder will be taken out of the transportation bond program out of that fund. So
$500,000 will be coming out of the transportation fund, and then $1 million coming from the federal government.
That's correct.
And so when we talk about the design process, you mentioned earlier about public comment. Exactly now that we're into the design phase, how's that all going to work? How can the people weigh in?
Sure. We've done what we call 30% level plans. That's kind of the layout and just the general concept of what needs to be done. We've submitted that to the highway department. They have oversight over this because of the federal aid funding. We've also submitted it to the State Historic Preservation Office because the bridges are on the National Historic Register. They have a stake in this as well. So we've submitted the plans to them. They've given us some comments back, and we've taken a look at those comments. But another step in the process is a public meeting for the local folks to have a chance to take a look at the plans and give us comments. We have a meeting scheduled. We'll get a press release out probably this week, but we do have a public meeting scheduled for next Tuesday, the 17th, from 4 to 6, and it's in room 111 of City Hall. It's just before the city council meeting for folks who may be coming to the city council meeting if they want to come by a few minutes early. It's a drop-in meeting, so anytime between 4 and 6, we'll have folks there, have our consultants there, have the plans that folks can kind of take a look at what the proposed concept is.
Oh, that sounds good. So now I'm going to ask you to look in your crystal ball here and tell the folks, you know, what's your best estimation of when we're going to start and how long it will take.
Okay. Yeah, that, of course, we're beholden to the federal aid process. We have several steps in that. The next step that we have coming up is after we have the public meeting, we'll update the concept plans, and we have what's called a memorandum of agreement that has to be agreed to by the State Historic Preservation Office, the State Highway Department, the Federal Highway Administration, and the city. So we've got to get all of those entities signed off. Once we get all of that signed off, that's basically the blueprint of what we're going to do. And then it's in a matter of detailing the plans and getting all the details and the contract documents and everything together. That process, we're hopeful that we can get through that process by mid-2014, so we can begin the construction in mid-2014. It's probably a 6-month to a year project, depending on the weather. If we go through the winter time, that'll take us extra time. What we plan to do, because we'll essentially have to take those streets out of commission when we're doing the bridges. So we'll set it up so that only one of them will be out of commission at a time. We have quite a bit of pedestrian traffic there, so we want to make sure that we can keep the pedestrians, have a way for them to get through the area. So only one of the bridges at a time will be worked on, which doubles the amount of time that it takes to complete them, but we feel like it's something that we really need to do because of the amount of traffic through that area. And I mentioned pedestrians. One thing that I didn't mention before is we are planning to widen the sidewalk substantially, have about a 10-foot sidewalk on Maple, and not quite that wide on Lafayette, but much wider sidewalks. We have a lot of pedestrian traffic, a lot of college students that walk through that area. And of course, we've had additional development in the area as well, which has increased the pedestrian flow. So we think we can make that much better, much safer as well.
Through this process that we've been working on, how many years have we been working on this? I know that was one of the top priorities when I came into this office. I know you went to work on it right away. And
sure.
So we've been working on it at least a good 5 years under my administration. So.
Right, we have. It's a project that it was in the 2006 bond issue. In about 2007, we realized sales tax were not coming in quite as fast as what had originally been anticipated, so the bond program had to be stretched out a little bit because we couldn't pay the bonds back as quickly as we thought. So this is one of the projects that kind of got stretched and moved out a little further than we would have liked. In the interim,
what year was 2007?
Originally, it was 2012 when we thought the third bond issue would occur, and of course, the third bond issue has just occurred now. So we're about almost 2 years behind where we wanted to be. But in the interim, we were able to secure that $1 million of federal aid that we weren't anticipating. So ultimately, there's going to be less cost to the bond program, so it's taken a little bit longer than we thought, but we're hopeful that the cost will be less. I know it's been a long time waiting, and we sort of haven't done much to the bridge just because we know we have these major fixes coming in, but we really feel like it's going to be a fantastic project when it's completed, and very excited about getting it to construction.
I'm very excited about it. I can remember back about 2007 or so that the sales tax wasn't coming in like we thought. I was on the street committee then, and the thing got elongated, but when I came into office, I went to work with you, and you were talking about the federal money that was available, so we went to going through that process. So we're going as fast as we possibly can.
Yeah, we're almost to get to the top of the hill, I think, and maybe we can slide down the other side a little quicker. So.
Well, it's been great having you on the show, Chris. If folks want to contact you, what's a good contact number?
Certainly, they can contact the engineering office. We're at 479-575-8207. My email address is cbrown@fayetteville-ar.gov. And again, at the public meeting, I will be there. We'll have our consulting engineer, McClellan Consulting Engineers will be there. So if folks want to come down and take a look at the plans, We also will put that information on the website, so if folks want to comment through the website, they can certainly do that as well.
So as we close today, I'd just like to say to the citizens that come out to this and weigh in and have some public comment on these historic bridges, because this is part of the heritage of this city. That's historic preservation is one of the things that's real near and dear to my heart, and this is a great example, investing about $1.5 million in historic preservation of this city, and that's a great investment not only for ourselves but for the future generations that's coming along. And so come out, let your voice be heard in these public comment meetings. And again, Chris, thank you for being here today, and y'all have a great day and hope to see you real soon.